This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com, and I'm here today to talk about CWF Legends Fan Fest 5 in Lutz, Florida, June the 15th. You can look it up on Facebook, CWF Fan Fest. I am with two of the performers that are going to be there, along with Ricky Steamboat, Billy Jack Haynes, Larry Sabisco. This is Scott Casey and Bob Roop, who some of you might remember I interviewed him last year in Iowa. How are you doing today?
Good. Well, I enjoyed that interview. I'm looking forward to do it again. I got some new stuff.
Yeah, new stuff, including that video that came out that I want to do a big interview with you one day, Plan B, that's highly controversial. Everyone's talking about it.
Plan B, yes. It was a good one.
I tell you what, folks, if you're looking at this man, you're going to have to stand behind me as far as respect goes. I watched him beat a bear in the ring in Amarillo, Texas. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. Well, I've already done that once anyway, but it's the truth. This man took on a bear. I said, you got to be insane. He said, probably, but anyway, and he beat him. So there you go.
Now, this event's happening. It's a CWF Fan Fest, Lutz, Florida, June 15th. Do you guys have any particular memories of wrestling in Florida? What stands out to you?
Great territory. The trips were great. You weren't on the road all the time. Weather was nice. Florida wrestling fans, great people. I mean, Miami was a unbelievable city for all Florida cities, but Miami was special. It was an international city and had people from all different cultures come to the wrestling matches. And it was a great experience. It was like being almost on a world tour working in Florida.
When I first started wrestling, I went to Florida from Amarillo, Texas. That's a heck of a lot. I mean, it's way east of where I'd ever been. But anyway, I got there and I met a man, they called him Sputnik Monroe. And he said, kid, by the time you finish this business, you will be like Coca-Cola. And I said, what do you mean Coca-Cola? He said, you'll have gone everywhere. Well, after 9 trips around the world, I can believe what he said. It was the truth. But we had a lot of fun down there. The fans were extremely, extremely nice and showed courtesy to us, and we did the same back to them.
And who were both of your favorite Florida opponents? You had a lot of feuds in that territory.
Well, I had the hottest thing I ever did was Steve Kern. That was instant. When we got together, it was like nitroglycerin coming together. As far as people to work against, I loved working with Barry Windham, Kendall Windham. Were great guys with great hands in the ring. Matches were always good. Rocky Johnson was good. Most of the talent was Jack Briscoe. What am I talking about? I had the good fortune to wrestle most of the world champions, Dory Funk Jr., Terry Funk, Jack Briscoe, for the title. And you're talking about 3 great talents there in the ring. So I think maybe rather than just one particular...
Oh, excuse me.
Are you going to take that, Bob?
Well, that was Stan Hanson. Yes, I'm going to take it.
Even his voice sounds stiff, doesn't it?
Well, he does have those vision problems. I always wondered if the vision problems was just an excuse to stiff people.
Yeah, it's a good gimmick, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry I didn't see you. Yeah, but this is the 10th time you ran over me. What do you mean you didn't see me?
And who were your favorite opponents in the Florida territory?
Probably Jack Briscoe and I would say Dory Funk Jr. They were great. They would come in, and Jerry Briscoe, who I still stay in touch with all the time. And the guys were so smooth and their timing was impeccable. And to the average fan, you probably wouldn't understand that, but it just made life a lot more fun when you were in the ring with them.
And who was some of the tough guys in the Florida territory? You were known as one of the guys that would test the young wrestlers that wanted to be in the business, as that video that's viral out there shows. But who else would you rate as some of the toughest guys in that territory?
Well, there were a number of guys that were, quote, shooters that knew how to use submission holds and make people submit. Carl Gotch wasn't booked to wrestle, but he was in the territory. Hiro Matsuda was very tough. I wasn't really a shooter in terms of wanting to hurt people. I mean, having been an amateur wrestler yourself, you know, if we hurt anybody in amateur wrestling, if you did it twice, you probably weren't ever going to wrestle again, right?
Right. Be disqualified and possibly punished.
If you did it twice, if you did the same thing twice and hurt people, you'd never wrestle again in amateur wrestling.
They actually allow more in amateur wrestling these days than they did in my day even, and probably way more than in your day. They allow far more dangerous suplexes, I've seen.
I saw the Nationals a couple weeks ago. They've interjected a lot of the international, like the back exposure and all that kind of thing that college wrestling didn't used to have, and it has gotten more violent. I still don't see dislocated elbows or broken noses or busted open, you know, I don't see a lot of injuries. So to be asked to go from that to deliberately hurt people who couldn't defend themselves, I didn't really like it. I didn't think that made me tough. I thought that made me a bully. Now, if you're going against somebody who can defend themselves, like say Danny Hodge, then that's different. But fortunately, I never shot with Danny Hodge. I didn't want to. There was no need to. But tough, that's a frame of mind. And there were guys down there that didn't know a lick about wrestling that was scrap. They'd fight you, bite you. Ronnie Garvin was one of them. They'd do whatever they took, and you knew you might beat them, but they were going to get something. They were going to take something away from it, probably part of your body, maybe an eyeball or something.
And any guys you would consider some of the toughest from the Florida territory?
When I met him and worked with him, and I'm referring to Greg Valentine's father, John Valentine, that was the toughest man. He wouldn't try to permanently hurt you, but he would beat you up with his arms and elbows and knocked me out of the ring one time, and I'm still laying there on the apron thinking, you know, I'm 1,500 miles away from Texas, but I'll be kiss my butt if I'm going to let anybody beat on me like this and not let them know I was there. I reached up, he had long blonde hair, pulled him back over the top rope and hit him as hard as I ever hit a man in my life. And what's he do? He says, I love it. I went, Lord Almighty. I guess because I was a young buck and, you know, didn't know hello from sick'em as far as wrestling goes, but I learned quite a bit from him. But he had my respect, and I guess I had his because I took what he dished out.
Well, you guys have both had great careers, and I hope to interview both of you in more detail one day. But there's one quick question I got to ask Mr. Roop. At the end of that Plan B video, there's hinted that there's more videos. Is there more videos in existence from that time that are going to pop out, or was that all kiboshed after the original one was filmed?
Well, let's put it this way. Some of the people who made Plan B are still around. And the plans for Plan C, for example, and maybe D, all those things are still there to be produced.
If we live that long anyway.
Whether or not they're actually out there, I'm not going to tell you, but they're definitely available to be produced. So I'm going to leave it ambiguous for now.
Is the heat between you and Ron Fuller over, in your opinion? Because I interviewed him recently, and he said he thinks he could forgive everyone in that video, but he's not sure about you. But I understand you're going to be at the same convention coming up this summer.
Well, I don't know what he has to forgive. I don't think about Ron much, or the fact at all. It's ancient history. I mean, I don't carry grudges. You carry a grudge, all you're doing is hurting yourself. It's over. What was done is done. I don't think about it anymore.
Sounds good. Well, the CWF Legends Fan Fest 5 is coming up June 15th in Lutz, Florida. Ricky Steamboat's going to be there. Larry Zbyszko. These two legends, Bob Roop, Scott Casey. You don't want to miss this. Even Billy Jack Haynes is going to be there. So look it up on Facebook. CWF Legends Fan Fest. David Penzer's even going to be there from the Hannibal TV. Check it out.